Good evening. I am going to do a little bit more map making here tonight, and then to be able to be a little bit more squared away for any kind of campaign coming up here shortly. So, new map. So, I want to do more of a town setting. So, dark parchment. There. That way it looks more like it's in the middle of a town. So let's do up a map in case they get in a fight at a bar or a tavern. Okay. That door needs moved. Let's move over. Go. Double latrine. Okay. Put in a sign. Bakery, not a blacksmith, not a butcher's. Tavern. Sign. Do an alley. Or Now, awesome thing I really like about Dungeon Alchemist is that they allow you to go in and actually add real photos to the notice boards. Like, I could add the actual logo of the group in on to notice board. So you can literally take a screenshot of a wanted poster or something like that and be able to put it on either one of these. Maybe I want a photo of that person, and it will literally put it right down on top. And then that way, whenever your players are kind of going through, they will see it as part of the immersion, which I really, really enjoy. It just adds another layer to the pool that a place like a program like this has. So also put alleyway back here as well. Then what we'll also do is kind of butting up against this, we'll place a bakery or something of that sort. So that is pretty much exactly opposite how I want it laid out. So cancel that out. Try to pull it the opposite way. And it still wants to put the door in the back and the counter, the oven there. I don't think changing the pool changes anything about. There we go. Definitely an amazing program that gives you 90% of what you need. And then you can go in and kind of customize it. Maybe, let's just say hypothetically, this bakery is just a front to a syndicate or something like that. You can then put a hatch in the back side of things. And it makes it to where it still looks 100% like a bakery and everything like that. Dungeon Alchemist does a great job at filling that kind of stuff in. And then you can add your own little details in on it to where, you know, maybe that hatch just leads into a basement, or maybe it's a smuggler's tunnel. I've done that before in bakeries before. It's just a really cool way of going about things. So then we can kind of do it to where across the street, quote unquote, is a smith. And of course the squares are 1-inch squares. I chose this map size because that's about the size of the TV that gets projected on. So if you So that's pretty much what my players will see. Um, so it's definitely helps out a lot as far as getting or perception, such like that, kind of squared away. This is definitely a smaller town area. The tavern is smaller, bakery is pretty large. So this looks possibly perhaps a town center of someone, perhaps a farming town, such like that. Then, like, here, maybe this is straight off the town square. So, maybe town square kind of goes over this way. Aha. So, let's duplicate that. Add that there. Add that there. Add that there. That way it looks like something more is off the map. It doesn't look like, oh, I just stopped because it's the end of the map. Alright, what else would an area like this have? What else would an area like this have? Maybe across the alleyway and the tavern is a smaller park. The dark brown would, of course, be the roadways. Maybe see what that does. Not quite. Definitely not quite. Looking more along the lines. Maybe we have the there. That looks good. That can be where the blacksmith's touch resides. Let's go ahead and look at a secondary alley over here. Go. Just gives different places to duck in, be hidden, escape routes, such like that. Just a whole mindset of everything. And perhaps maybe on this side have smaller cemetery. Oof. Okay, we're gonna re-roll that so it's not so many fresh graves. There. That looks a little bit better. Not sure about the whole... There we go. So... I do want to ensure pathways are here. Going to a little bit. Yeah. That way there's no blocking the entranceway. Then, what else do we need here? Maybe our cabin here. Okay. I don't know why in the cabin they added a full-fledged cannon, which is a little nuts. That's easily fixed. And maybe last little bit here. Fiber. And I mean, this is the exact reason why I love Dungeon Alchemist. Not sponsored, anything like that. Although, let's talk. But it is literally fills in 90% of it, and you take care of the rest for yourself. If you don't like it, you just re-roll it. Everything like that. So let's just also yeah. That looks great. Oh. Alright. So then that, if you actually change the terrain, that should allow you to add the signs to the outside now. Yep. Full control. So now you can actually add it just cuts back on monotonous of making that for a DM. It's a real easy way of making a whole bunch of different maps at once, being able to use a different map every time. That way, it's not like you're just using the same map over and over and over for your players. It is awesome, amazing. Now, this is going to be a nicer area because the campaign I'm running is a dilapidated mess. This is going to be a nicer area. Perhaps it's isolated from all the troubles or turmoil and such like that. But a real easy map that can be done. Let's see if we can get some sort of eternal flame style monument. That'll work. What else do we need? What else do we... Hmm. Do we take a bit from here? Try and remove some of this because he doesn't have a storehouse. Doesn't have a place to put all of the gear he has made. Let's redraw the room. Want to Smith. Want to do it like that. That looks... Oh, they put the door down this side now. Interesting. That can work. Kind of break up the whole centered lane kind of thing. Then... storage room. That. And perhaps... So now, see that these things kind of stick out like a sore thumb. So we're going to change the walls to match the aesthetics. That be... Here we go. There we go. There. Perfect. That way... he has some sort of stock. But I don't like how it's all the same stuff. It looks like it's all Mason. So let's look at weapons. Where we could find some weapons rack of different things. And that way, got some full plates of armor, got some swords. That way it's just not all the same. There we go. So that all looks good. I'm good with that. Maybe let's add some tables. Add some round tables. Not a lot as far as round tables go. Put back there. Now, perhaps in the back room, we also add a writing desk. Kind of in between the... Alright. There we go. Dressing. Cool, cool. So we're gonna save that as... There we go. Maps. Go ahead and just do this as town. Sure. Alrighty. Alrighty. So that gives plenty of possibilities for players to explore and figure out everything. Can't add too many secrets and surprises in case my group watches the stream. So that's going to be good for now. Might tweak it a little bit off camera here. But yeah, I mean, there you go. 30 minutes making a map, and it is 100% done. A map like this before this program probably take me at least 3 hours, and I probably would not even have this amount of detail. So let's go into cinematic mode, like we are walking down the town square. Go into the library. Go into this guy's house. I mean, just head over to the cemetery. Nothing really in the walkway or anything like that. Bakery looks like it is up and running. Perhaps add a secondary oven on the other side to kind of balance it out, because that's a lot of product to only have one oven going. Enter the tavern. Stay in the room. That looks pretty good. Restrooms. And whenever we start this campaign, and whenever my players start playing, what I'm going to actually do is, behind me, I'm going to place a TV screen and record a walkthrough of these areas. So as I'm describing it, then they'll be able to kind of look back on the TV screen and see everything I am describing, literally just exactly how this is. Go into the blacksmith shop. I do like how not all the doors are on that side. I like how it's a little bit broken up. There's the armory. This is a little tight, but to be honest, what back room of a store isn't a little tight? Their little storeroom where they have a few items to get them through the day. I mean, it's just... And then where the workers live, sleep. a nice little memorial thing for the town center. What I might end up doing is putting it out of first person view, and let's paint a little path. It's not gonna be too well traversed. So let's pull down the brush strength a little bit. And maybe gotta pull it up a little bit. There we go. Just enough to show people have been walking. Pretty much put that anywhere that the people would travel the path. Oh, that definitely works. What map should we make next? So let's do grasslands. Do some hills. Let's work on some abandoned ruins. Like I said, this campaign's gonna be kind of dark, kind of broken. So that's about a broken up chapel. Off to the side. Move the hobble over in case it's someone who was taking care of the area. That looks better. Much better. See what this looks like. I've never... Okay. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Definitely need more overgrowth. Definitely need more things on walls. Right. Add some dead trees. Almost like creeping into the temple. What else needs to be in there? Oh, that's way of doing that. Up close. Like if it wasn't kind of taken care of. Entry. This is what they'll actually see. And all right. Alright. Take a little break, and then whenever I come back, I'm gonna work on My mic wasn't on. Of course, my mic wasn't on. So this is a quick, easy way of giving your players some side quests to do. A real quick, easy uh, carrot to hang at the end of a stick. That way that they don't feel like they are always railroaded into your campaign setting. They have things to distract. They have things to keep themselves occupied if they are waiting on something or anything like that. So just a real quick, easy way of getting a whole slew of these for whenever they roll into town. And like I said before, you can actually take these, toss them into Dungeon Alchemist and put them on the board. What I'll probably end up doing is, because the board is so small, such like that, I'll probably just do a generic one. Like I'll find a wanted poster, photo, something like that, and I will put it on the boards whenever I make a notation board. So, duly noted. I have been talking since I've been doing these wanted posters, but my mic was not on. So I have to triple check that whenever I come back from break and such like that. This is my second ever stream. I am still very much learning everything, such like that. I appreciate the patience with it, such like that. And I'm hoping... Hello. How are you? It's actually night for me. It's 9:45. Just doing a little bit of Dungeons Dragons prep. I am a DM that I've been DMing for about 6 years now. We're kind of in between campaigns. One of my players wanted a chance to try his chance at DMing, so I am taking a back seat and doing some campaign prep for campaign number 2. So this is my second ever stream. So like I said, please bear with me as far as anything like kind of clunky and stuff like that. I am still very much learning. But what I was working on here is some wanted posters. Every time that they roll into a town or something like that, I am going to roll a 1d4 behind a computer screen, and that's how many wanted posters are on the board. So I have a big binder here that I'm keeping everything organized in, and whenever they roll into town, then I'll pull out some random wanted posters for them as a distraction from the main campaign or a time filler. So earlier I was on the program Dungeon Alchemist. It was a amazing program. I don't know if you play D&D, if you're a player, a DM, whatever. It is awesome. Really cuts back on a lot of the monotonous of putting a bread on a piece of bread on a table and stuff like that. Fills it all in and stuff like that. So anyways, welcome. Oh, nice. It is, there are things that AI can just take the small workings out of and such like that. And I find it, like I said in my stream, I have not ever used Canva. I have not. I will check that out though. I much appreciate the heads up on that. What I do is I actually build the maps in Dungeon Alchemist, and then I export them to the tabletop app I have called Arken Forge. So it is very easy to just export. It exports it as a big tile. Oh, okay. I will definitely have to check that out. My issue is I'm trying to figure out a way to age them, and the thing I'm running into is that every time I try to use coffee grounds, instant coffee, tea bags, everything like that, the paper just seems to fall apart. I don't know if it's a specific kind of paper I kind of have to get to be able to take on that moisture and not fall apart. But that's where I'm at now. Also trying to get it to the point where whenever they go into a tavern, I'll pull out my handy dandy notebook here. Whenever they go into a tavern, they will actually have a, these are the DM notes, but they will actually have a full-fledged menu with food, drink, starters, main entrees, stuff like that, with all the pricing. So whenever they go into a tavern, they can literally look at the menu and order anything that's on the menu, and they already know how much everything costs. And it's to take away some of the monotonous of, okay, well, do you have this, and do you have this, and do you have this, and just be like, more authentic of, hey, here's a menu, what would you like? Instead of like having to like talk through all the different things. So it's just little things like that that I'm trying to up my game on campaign 2. Our first campaign we did for about 6 years, and I am very very lucky, very lucky. I have had the same group through that whole time. We have lost a few, just because whenever we started, we were a group of like 9 or 10, and as time goes by, it kind of, people just kind of drop off and stuff like that, and I wasn't adding people in and such like that. So right now we are 7 players, and 1 DM. So I find that that's a very good area to be at, and just trying to give everyone the story that they want and deserve. We do have a YouTube page. I have a promo video up for our YouTube page, if I programmed this right. Yep. So that is our... Oh, nice, yes. 7 to 6 is really a good spot to be at. So that's our YouTube page. I have a full-fledged promo video up for this campaign coming up. Campaign 1, they dealt with what was called the Turning Wars, where pretty much the infernal planes were the nexus or the ley line of the infernal planes were closer to the material plane, thus it invoked more influence on that plane. And then the players kind of played through that, ended up eventually facing off with Asmodeus, and with the help of Torog, defeating him and imprisoning him in Torog's jail. And then I have a second group that's just like my family and stuff, and shortly after the Turning Wars, there's going in the storyline and such, there's going to be a rise against the clerics and the oath holders. So that's going to be the cleric genocide, and that's kind of what that promo video is bringing up. Campaign 2 is going to be about 900 to 1,000 years after the Turning Wars. So this is where society has collapsed. The way I kind of explained it to my players is it's the equivalent of a Mad Max. Let me switch this here. It's the equivalent of like a Mad Max meets high fantasy, a Fallout-esque where things are in ruined and such, but there are like small pockets of civilizations, people who may be isolated, or I mean, there's going to be raiders, there's going to be headhunters. It's going to be a very dark and heavy going campaign. But knowing my group and stuff, they're definitely going to add tons of enough laughs and stuff like that. I got into D&D because my wife actually wanted to play, but she's not the personality to walk into a game store and ask, hey, can I join your group? So I kind of kept on expressing her interest in it, and I took 3 months and involved everything I could into learning how to be a DM and such like that, and ran a few games with her, started this group in a comic book store. We've have moved around a couple times, and now we're back to it at my house so my wife can partake in it as well. It's something that we both truly enjoy. So feel free to ask me anything about the campaign. I will try to answer it the best I can. I am going to have it to where, because the ley lines are off. Oh, my wife is actually she used to work at a library, and then she moved to teaching. She is now a college professor. So, I mean, libraries are great. I can't say, anything really bad about them. They're a nexus of a whole bunch of different interests that can converge at one spot. But yeah, feel free to ask me about anything on my campaign. I will try to answer it the best I can. If you I can bring back up Dungeon Alchemist, and I can work on a few more maps. Like I said, I am very, very new to streaming. Um, I am. It is literally my second stream, really. Nazareel. Nazareel is the name of the world. It is, um, had a whole bunch of different, larger continents and such. But with the Turning Wars and the clerics being, I mean, the gods being locked behind this gate, it's kind of shifted and broken apart. There is what used to be called the Great Siphon in the one corner of the map, and that's where all the water kind of dumped into a certain plane. They Campaign 1, they didn't explore it at all. Campaign 2, it's not gonna be there because of reasons, but yes, the actual name of the world is Nazaril. That button. Like I said, I am very, very new at streaming. But if you look on the bottom there, you do have a little stream guy. So because of what has happened to the clerics, Radiant magic is not really banned, but not really seen. At this point, only the very old or the very intelligent would be able to identify it. I was going to say, hey, because of how this world is, I'm gonna lock out cleric just because of the whole cleric genocide. But I had a player who really wanted to play a cleric, and so him and I kind of talked it down, and I said, hey, I am not going to stop you from you having the character you want. So if the character you want is a cleric, I will figure out a way, get clerics in there so you can have the character you want. So I had to kind of redo the beginning of the campaign to kind of accommodate the one player who wants to be a cleric. But like I said, I would have rather him got the character he wanted than him to not be able to play a class that he was really wanting to try out. And the player who wants to play the cleric was my barbarian in campaign 1. So it's like, it's nuts to me that he's going from one side of no spell casting to the whole other side of, hey, prep your spells every morning and stuff like that. I think the only crazier thing is if he would be a wizard. But it's funny that the barbarian was like, from the old campaign, was like, hey, I want to go total 180. And then I have other players who were spellcasters in the first campaign and really enjoy spellcasters, so they were like, I want to continue doing a spellcaster. I'm like, hey, great. But my main thing is, I always tell my players, this is you guys' story. I am only here to help you tell that story. I don't like that. So druids are awesome. My wife, campaign 1 played a spore druid, circle of spores druid. Um, she really, really enjoys that. Um, now that I am playing as a player with my one, the one player who wanted to DM, we're doing like a mini campaign while I prepped campaign number 2. I chose cleric for that, and being the typical DM, I had everyone else pick their class, and then I came to him. I'm like, okay, what are you missing? What spot isn't filled? As far as do you need a tank? Do you need support? Do you need the sneaky guy? What role is not filled? And he's like, we don't have a healer. Like, all right, I'll do druid. I mean, I'll do a cleric, but it's going to be the most oxymoronic cleric ever. So I'm a Dhampir life cleric. Full on emo. His name, take Vikings and make him emo. His name's Fawnfear. And he's just... he thinks the world is pain, and healing people keeps them around to feel this pain. So... but no, I mean... I really, really enjoy D&D. The people we play with, I consider now some of my really good friends. And to be honest, I didn't know any of these guys or girls before we started playing D&D. I literally I met them through the comic book store, and we have been made really good friends through this whole experience. I try and do what I call the rule of 3. Like, let me open a map here. So anytime I'm working on a actual... that's not a good map as an example. Anytime I'm working on a actual map that's just not a generic middle of the road fight map, I do what's called the rule of 3, where, so you can see that this is a bank. There's a small armory in the back because you got to protect the bank. So don't feel like I'm forcing people to do certain aspects of their class or whatever. I make sure that there are 3 different ways that they can go about things. They could try to sneak their way through the gatehouse, sneak their way through the armory, and then go up the steps. They can try to come to the bank tellers and try and get in somehow through that. Or they can try to talk their way in through the bank boss, the manager or whatever. So I try to have it to where there are at least 3 ways that people of different skill sets can go about getting to the same spot. That way, if it's infiltration, it's not always the rogue going in. Speak to your manager. So that way it's just not always the rogue going into the, going in solo, lock picking their way through and opening the door for everyone to sneak in the back. That maybe it's the bard who does something up with their disguise kit, make himself look like royalty, and gets in through the manager's office. Or maybe it's the barbarian, which I have the rule, intimidation checks can also be ran off of strength, just not charisma. Because first campaign, my barbarian was a minotaur character, but he had kind of low charisma. So, but that didn't make sense to me that intimidation was so low, even though his strength was full-fledged 20 maxed, everything like that. He was big, honking, double-handed great axe character, but his intimidation was -2. So I also do it to where your intimidation can also go off of your strength. So maybe they just go in guns blazing using intimidation and stuff like that. Maybe they disguise as royalty. Maybe they just sneak in. Maybe they try to dig their way in and such like that. If it is pivotal to the plot point, I try to make sure that there is at least 3 ways into it. And I just find that it makes it to where it's just not always one thing. And they seem to really, really enjoy that. And it seems to help pull each individual person, and maybe that quieter person you have might get an idea, and they're more likely to voice that idea if they know it's a possibility. If they know that, hey, this is a possible way of doing it, maybe they're more likely to go about things with that. But this is a bank I did for a one-shot that is coming up. And we have a lot of players going to be out this session. Not this Friday, but the next Friday after that. So I am going to run a one-shot with the people who are here, and it's going to be a bank heist. So that's what they're up against as far as that goes. And and like I said, eventually behind me here there's going to be some more decorations and stuff like that. And then I am going to have a TV, probably one of the corners, that I am going to record those walkthrough videos of Dungeon Alchemy. And I will, as I'm describing it, they will actually be able to, which I think is probably one of the best features of Dungeon Alchemy, just being able to explain it. And because Theater of the Mind is great if you're talking about an area or something that's not very important or not real pivotal. a simple tavern or something like that. But it's always good to have a very good visual representation if you're building an attack plan to something. If you are, if you're trying to infiltrate a place, just being able to see it and know what you're up against, I think, is pivotal. So. So, and I mean, even with the, let's say that they go the manager route. So, highly recommend Dungeon Alchemy. I use a map program called Arken Forge, and something like this bank in Arken Forge would have taken me probably 2 hours to make, and I was able to do this in about 30 minutes. And even with making it, with it taking about 2 hours, it still wouldn't be 100% square and such like that. There are a few downfalls of Dungeon Alchemist. I will sing its praises 90% of the time. One thing I'm about is walls. There are no rounded walls, which I think is a big downfall. If I can go in and kind of select, whenever I'm placing a building, if I can select like a curve or an angle or something like that, like if I wanted to angle this off, if I could right click on it and angle it, or click on a certain spot up here and curve it, I think that would be a lot better. And I know that they're working on stuff like that, but Dungeon Alchemist makes your buildings very square. And the other program, I was actually able to do rounded walls and such like that. There is a way of doing it. It just is a bit of a pain. You got to go into abstract and then do a wall system like that, and then load up a picture to customize it. But if you could just take this and just round it, like if I could select yeah, I mean, Incarnate is a good program and such like that. I have just found that Dungeon Alchemist is a huge time saver. Whenever, especially like a party like mine, likes to make havoc wherever they go. So having a map that I could, I mean, if push comes to shove, if I needed to toss up a tavern real quick, I could have a tavern not all done up and stuff like that. Just click, drag, middle of a field, tavern, done in about 5-10 minutes. That's the power of Dungeon Alchemist. The other thing I don't really like about it is you can't build up. Yeah, it's a huge time saver. It is a huge time saver. I cannot say, like, I can't sing its praises enough. But like I said, the other thing that's kind of bad with it is you can't build up. Like, I would love up here if I could have underneath of this cinematic mode button a up and down arrow. And I could literally click that and it makes this somewhat transparent and I could build on top of this then. That's something I would really, really like for them to add. Or like to go down. Maybe there's a basement because there are steps going down here. So if I could like be able to go up and down and stuff like that, that'd be great. The way I have to do it now is I have to make 2 different maps like this. Like if you see this called Bank 1. And then I have a Bank 2, which is the second story of it. So that's where it kind of goes up. And then you have the vault door there. And then that's the vault room. So then I have to then pretty much export both of those into Arken Forge and layer it in Arken Forge. Which, it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. But if I could just be able to kind of sandwich things on top of each other. Because, like, I don't know if they are fighting, if they even get into a fight, if they're fighting up here. Or if they're fighting down there. Or, like, I don't know which one they're going to choose. Like I said, very, very small complaints about that. It to me, it's not that big of a deal. It's just another thing to be cautious of it. So yeah, I mean, I can show you how quickly I can actually get a map. Let's just make it flat. Let's make it, like, they cause a fight in a tavern. You hit create, hit tavern, great hall, make it 9x9. And you have put a kitchen off to the side, latrine, and a bedroom. And then in a matter of that amount of time, you have a map that's usable. It's not perfect, but it's usable. And to be honest, it's not badly done. If you take a look, I mean, the lighting is on, the fires are going, I mean, things that are there make sense. It is just a really, really interesting way of making a map, especially for a group who, like, whenever I first started DMing, I planned out a whole bunch of stuff, like, way ahead of time and stuff like that. And then, they totally took it way off course. So I pretty much took a stack of papers like that and just put them in a different folder and had to redo it, everything. So in my time of DMing, I have learned to improv pretty well. So, just the fact of, you know, them, I don't know what they're going to get into. And just the idea of being able to just pop up a map real quick. And to be honest, it just I mean, for a small tavern in the middle of woods or wherever it is, it just makes sense. So I I definitely like Dungeon Alchemist. It has saved me so much time. There are a few small complaints I have with it, but to be honest, the complaints I have on it pales in comparison of the amount of time it saves. Now, I mean, if you kind of dig into it and look closer at it, if you had time, of course, you got 3 tables here exactly the same. So you would want to change that up. Make sure that they don't look all the same. You got a couple different things. Like, thought I chose latrine for that one. I might have chose kitchen. But oh, nope, I did choose kitchen. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it has 2 ovens here, but one's a cooktop and stuff like that. And it all depends. It does 90% of it for you, and then you can dig in further. The bars backwards. It all depends on how far deep you want to go into it. Like, but I mean, something like the bars, easy fix by just rotating it. And then the bar's fixed. So just as a filler and stuff like that, it makes great. And then this isn't a map I'm going to use, but then whenever I go off stream, then if there's anything kind of secret about it or anything like that, then that's whenever I add it. Oh yeah. So let's do another bedroom. So let's do a bedroom off the side like that. And maybe I don't like how it looks. You can literally just reshuffle it, and then it changes the look of it. And you're like, not quite there. Hit it again. Okay. Maybe this is a little bit nicer room because they're not bunk beds here, but it still kind of looks the same and stuff like that. And or, you know, maybe I just don't like the room at all and I can just delete it out. Now, you gotta watch like that stuff like that. But even whenever you delete a door, it replaces it with a wall that's the exact same as the outside. You can place windows, and you hold shift. It just lets you place them wherever you want, and it'll keep placing them. So I mean, it is a very nice program. And if you notice, it saw the outside look of the main room and has copied it on all the other rooms. Now, the interior kind of changes up a bit, but as far as the exterior, it will match it 100%. Unless you change the category. So if you look here, that was all in the tavern. If I go to castle, let's say I want an entrance to this place, and I did a castle entrance. Well, then it's gonna make it, of course, look more like a castle and stuff like that. But then I could even find that maybe it's part of an old castle that they had just added onto. I can find that in the walls, which that would be in the stone section right there. And I can add that to the castle part. And add it to the inside if I wanted. So maybe they kind of cobbled it together with parts of the castle that was in the area. And that was what they used. And then it also has item manipulation to where you can kind of change the coloring and stuff like that. It doesn't look too good on like wooden items and such like that, just because of, I mean, wood has a very distinct color and it's not really into the fluorescent of things. But for things that could matter, perhaps like a flame or something like that. Also, all the lights cast shadows whenever I import them onto my tabletop program. They still cast shadows, and you can actually extinguish, relight flames. You can change the color of the flame. So if you want like the black flame candle from Hocus Pocus, there you go. Change how bright it is and stuff like that. It is... I have used a lot of different things. And Dungeon Alchemist is probably my favorite one I have used so far. Just because of how much of a time saver it is. So. I'm really impressed with what they have done with it, and I actually look forward to them continuing. They have a full-fledged Steam workshop, well, where you can upload your maps for other people to make. I mean, here's a huge garden hedge. There are people who, whenever you do like pre-done adventures and stuff, like the Yawning Portal, right there, it's a full-fledged, already done Yawning Portal. Yes. Yep. Allowing you to pretty much customize any kind of texture, any kind of I mean, it still blows my mind. I know I've said it about it before, but the wanted posters on the bulletin board, being able to pop wanted posters onto the bulletin board in the actual tavern just blows my mind. Just the part of that is awesome. So, I'll show you the one map I did called the Gathering Table. Players will come across this somewhat early in the game, but it is a fighting pit bar that is pretty massive. It's ran by a crime family. And so as soon as you enter, you check your weapons. And that is actually our logo that I was able to place on the bulletin board inside the bar. Just like, almost like a little Easter egg I was able to put inside of my map, which I find is amazing. But got the fighting pit, got rooms down here for rent with the latrine. Map like this took me about an hour. And if I was to build this in my previous mapping programs, probably about 5 or 6 hours. So it is a full-fledged time saver and such. Now I have to come back and kind of tune things up. You see a lot of the tables are very similar. So I'm going to have to change what's on top of tables and such like that. But as far as bones, it is massive and it is good. Someone even dropped a ladle. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, even details like that. That lace, probably to not let flies in. Just amazing little things that your players would probably never see. You are able to incorporate in here. One of the newest things that they have actually started doing is allows you to import things from the Hero Forge and place NPCs inside the tavern. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but you can actually link your Hero Forge account and download the characters that you've made into this program. And then that allows you to place your people and stuff like that. I don't do it just because of how quickly things move around and stuff like that. Like if a fire breaks out, I don't want to have to go into Dungeon Alchemist and try and move this guy around like he's running out the building. So I don't personally use them, but I mean they have a whole bunch of like maybe kobolds are attacking. You're able to kind of play some like that. Just and then you can get into literally the eyes of this player and be like, oh crap. And also you now notice like I can jump. Like it's a first person now. I can jump. I can, and each of my steps looks like I'm walking, but I can move around just like I was in there. Turn off lights. Just the things that I'm seeing them work on is the way that I think D&D will be moving forward, where it is not full BTT, not full tabletop hard maps, but a hybrid of the two. I'm a big component of getting everyone around the table. It's not that I don't like. I understand why people do the virtual D&D and stuff like that. It scratches the itch and stuff like that. But it's nothing like getting all your friends around a table playing as such. I mean, to me, there's nothing like that out in the world except for tabletop games, some board games and such like that. Just the amount of connection that you're able to do throughout is great. I mean, especially nowadays, everyone needs that little bit of connection. So, but back here is like the betting area where they hand out gold to the winners. They come up to these windows here to receive their gold winnings. And I kind of double layered the window and the bars. That way it looks a lot more secure. And then here's where the fighters are. So instead of doing the double layer map, I did it to where these steps here are the steps going down there. So definitely a great program. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. They are moving the game in an area where the AI takes monotonous of putting cups on the table, putting, certain flooring down, doing this and doing that. It lining walls up perfectly. It takes that all away. Just a few more separate little tweaks and it will be pretty much golden. So I'm actually about ready to jump off of here. If you're not following, please feel free to follow. Yeah, I have to actually head off to sleep here soon. I greatly appreciate you coming in and seeing my little stream and what I'm trying to do here, how I'm trying to help people out, spread a little bit of information and such like that. I'd love if you followed and join us whenever we start the campaign. It will be every other Friday from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to about midnight Eastern Standard Time. A group of 5 guys, 2 ladies, and me as DM. I greatly appreciate you coming in, hanging out, and such like that. I definitely do. I have been told I should always, whenever I leave, I should always raid. So I am going to try that now. So please bear with me. Let's go see what the guys over at Loading Ready Run are doing. Like that they are playing platform here. Again, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Feel free to come back anytime. You have a great night as well.